Hi guys, I'm live. Welcome back to my channel. It's God's Magic. So today we are talking about 1 Kings 4 and 5. So in the last chapter, we found out that King Solomon was praying to have a discernment to be able to judge the people rightly. That's what it said. So now we're finding out there was a situation where the two women were fighting over the baby, and the King Solomon told people to bring a sword to cut the baby in half. Well, the real mother said no, give her the child, and the other one that wasn't the mother was like, go ahead. So we just found out basically that he got the discernment he prayed for. Okay, we're on chapter 4. King Solomon was king over all the people of Israel. These were his chief officials. Now we're about to go down a list of names. Okay, so I don't know all these names. Oh God. Okay. Elphraah and Ahijah, the sons of Shisha, were scribes. The son of Ahalud was the recorder of important events. The son of Jerihiah was in command of the army. Zadok and Bethier were priests. Azariah, the son of Nathan, was in charge of the disputes. Zazud, the son of Nathan, was priest and the king's friend and trusted supervisor or priest advisor. Asher was in charge of the household palace, and Adnariam, the son of Abba, was in charge of the forced labor. Solomon had 12 deputies over all Israel who secured provisions for the king and his household. Each man had to provide for a month and eat in the year. These were their names: Ben-Hur in the hill country of the tribe, Ben-Decker in Makaz, and Shalabim and these words. Okay. Ben-Hist in the city of Arbith. To him belongs Saka and all the land of. Okay, these words, no. Basically, this is just Solomon's officials are being explained, his chiefs, his officers, his servants, all that, and it's going down the family tree. Like it says right here, they're married in one aspect right here. So, if you would like to read that, you can just go to 1 Kings chapter 4 and just read about who's all in charge, who the chief officers, priests, prophets are. And I'm going to skip right to the actual scriptures. All right, so all the people of Judah and Israel were as numerous as the sand and the sand that is in abundance by the sea. They were eating and drinking and rejoicing. Now Solomon reigned over all the kingdoms from the Euphrates River to the land of the Philistines and to the border of Egypt. They brought tribute money and served Solomon all the days of his life. Solomon's food for the royal household for one day was 30 cores of finely milled flour, 60 cores of the wheat flour. Whew, okay. 10 fat oxen, 20 pasture-fed oxen, and 100 sheep, not counting fallow deer, gazelles, and roebucks, and fattened fowl. For he was ruling over everything west of the Euphrates River from Tibisha to Gaza, over all the kings west of the Euphrates River, and he had peace on all sides around him. Judah and Israel lived in security, every man under his vine and fig tree, in peace and prosperity, from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south, during all the days of Solomon. Solomon also had 40,000 stalls of horses for his chariots and 12,000 horsemen. Those deputies provided food for the King Solomon and for all the staff who came to King Solomon's table, each in his month. They let nothing be lacking. Okay. They also brought the barley and straw for the horses and swift steeds, war horses and chargers, to the place where it was needed, and each man according to his assignment. Now God gave Solomon exceptional wisdom and very great discernment and breadth of mind, like the sand of a seashore. Solomon's wisdom surpassed the wisdom of all the sons of the east and all the wisdom of Egypt, for he was wiser than all other men, wiser than Ethan and Ezrai and Heman, Kakal, and Darda, the sons of Machal. His fame was known in all surrounding nations. He also spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. He spoke of trees, from the cedar which it is living with to the hyssop vine that grows on the wall. He spoke also of animals, of birds, and creepy things, and fish. People came from all the peoples, nations, to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and from all the kings of the earth who had heard of his wisdom. So that's crazy. So, like, he literally spoke 3,000 proverbs. Yeah, 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. That is crazy to me. So right there, we see a little bit of his power. He was famous. His wisdom was beyond any other kingdom. His wisdom was beyond the magical capabilities that we are in today with certain wisdoms of spirituality. And King Solomon has proven in each of these scriptures that he has gone beyond even Egypt at that point. So that is crazy. Now we're moving on to chapter 5, because now it's just talking about alliances and stuff like that. So we're about to find out, and then we'll do 6 and 7 on Monday. Okay. So now 5. Let's see. So before I read it, what's crazy is all of his deputies provided food for him and his whole household in that month. And then God gave him exceptional wisdom and very great discernment, and his mind is clear. They talk about how he spoke of trees, from the cedar which it is in Lebanon to the hyssop vine that grows on the wall. He spoke also of animals, of birds, of creeping things, and fish. That is crazy to me. That is still crazy to me. I'm just like, okay. So let's go to chapter 5. Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants to Solomon when he heard that they had anointed him king in place of his father. For Hiram had always been a friend of David. Then Solomon sent a word to Hiram, saying, "You know that David, my father, could not build a house, temple for the name, temple for the name, presence of the Lord his God, because of the wars which surrounded him, until the Lord put his enemies under his feet. But now that the Lord my God has given me rest from war on every side, there is neither adversary nor misfortune confronting." It's not confronting him. That's what I was saying. Behold, I intend to build a house, temple to the name of the Lord my God, just as the Lord said to my father David, your son, whom I will put on your throne in your place, shall build the house for my name and presence. So now command that they cut cedar trees for me, and my servants will join your servants, and I will give you whatever wages you set for your servants. For you know that there is no one among us who knows how to cut timber like the men of Sidon. When Hiram heard the words of Solomon, he rejoiced greatly and said, "Blessed the Lord is this day, who has given David a wise son to be king over this great people." So Hiram sent a word to Solomon, saying, "I have heard the message which you sent to me. I will do everything you wish concerning the cedar and the cypress timber. My servants will bring the logs down from Lebanon to the sea. I will have them made into rafts to go by sea to the port that you direct me. Then I will have them broken up there, and you shall carry them away. Then you shall return the favor by providing food for my household." Whoa. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 cores of wheat as food for his household, and 20 cores of pure olive oil. Solomon gave all these to Hiram each year. The Lord gave Solomon wisdom just as he promised him, and there was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of the men made a peace treaty. King Solomon levied forced laborers from all Israel, and forced laborers numbered 30,000 men. He sent them to Lebanon. I cannot say that word. Lebanon, 10,000 a month in shifts. 1 month they were in Lebanon, and 2 months at home. Adoniram was in charge of the forced laborers. Solomon had 70,000 burden bearers, transporters, and 80,000 stonemasons in the hill stonemasons in the hill country of Judah. Besides Solomon's 33,000 chef duties, who were in charge of the project and who were in charge of the people doing the work. The king gave orders, and they acquired great stones, valuable stones, to lay on the foundation of the house, temple with cut stones. So Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders and the men of Gabal cut and sensitized the stones and prepared the timber and the stones to build the house. So in chapter 5 and 6, we see, chapter 4 and 5, we see that King Solomon's prayers got answered. He has had peace all around him. He hasn't strayed from the Lord. He is staying in the same place. He's going to keep going and keep going and keep going. And God is proving to him over and over with the power he has, because like this said, it got to his friend who was a friend of his father's. So when David's friend heard that Solomon was in the place of king and he was anointed, there was an excitement because there was going to be peace, because that's what Solomon prayed for, was discernment to do just, right? To have God's heart. So that's what's kind of crazy. And then it's teaching us the wealth, power, and wisdom he had, that people were all over the world talking about this. Like Solomon was very, very famous at the time. That's why his magics are so powerful. And then it explains that God did exactly what he said he was going to do. I had gave you wisdom. So Solomon started using it, and that's very cool. And then the alliance with King Hiram, that's David's friend. And this is Solomon becoming peaceful with them. And they all came together and they put an alliance together because Solomon kept his heart for the Lord. But this is an example of the magics that King Solomon can have and do and did, He did a lot of magic, and it even says he talked about birds. He talked about creeping things. He talked about, what was the other thing? He talked about animals, birds, creeping things, and fish. So that's really cool how his power formed in that aspect. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, anyway, sorry. So we just can see that King Solomon had a lot of that. So when he was talking about the birds and the animals and the creeping things and the fish, people came from all the nations to see him because of his power that was gifted to him, and his magics and his abilities and his foresight and all of it. So I just love this series that we're doing, just to keep reading about King Solomon and the history. So I enjoyed just reading this on live. For those who are watching this back, we're just reading First Kings. We're just going to read the history about Solomon and learn about his magics and his powers and his spiritual giftings and his prayers. King Solomon's father, David, left us a lot of prayers in the Psalms. So just imagine what's in Kings from King Solomon. So that's why we're going to keep going over this, because it has a lot of magical aspects. It has a lot of power. With King Solomon, he has a lot of attributes. He has a lot of aspects. He has a lot of different symbols and signs. And as we keep reading in the Book of Kings, we will understand how to incorporate into that aspect of our practice. And King Solomon, he was known all over the world. And that's what's cool, is he was known. The nations came to see him. So I love studying about this. I just wanted to kind of do a little Bible study with y'all, and just to read about kings and talk about King Solomon. And when we get to the end of this, we're going to list out all his powers, all his magical abilities, like what we can work with him for, and stuff like that. So I wanted to thank y'all for watching, and those who are rewatching this, thank you so much for watching, and leave a comment down below what you think about King Solomon and King David. Let's talk about it. So I love y'all. Have a great weekend, and I'll see y'all Monday. Bye.